I'm Corey Skandarian, a practicing physiotherapist and founder of Nobody. My goal with Nobody is to help you, the allied health practitioner, gain a deeper insight on the human behind the body to create long-term therapeutic outcomes and bring a positive impact to the lives of your client community. Nobody can condense this theory into a practical how-to guide and help you adopt a more human-centric approach to your professional relationships for amazing results in the health and lives of your clients and success of your practice. I have created 6 modules to choose from. You can choose them all or decide to do them separately, either online and or face-to-face by attending a workshop near you. These modules will explore the key learnings you can gain from Nobody. In the next coming weeks, I will present to you another way of thinking and approaching the care of your client and their body that will give you a deeper sense of collaboration and positive contribution to the overall health of your client as well as the growth of your practice. Today, we are discussing breath. Breath is the entry to life as well as its exit. Taking a breath is central to the human experience as it is the first and last thing you'll ever do. In between these two extremes, the average human being takes 16 breaths per minute, 960 per hour, and 23,000 per day. Multiply these numbers over a lifetime and you will soon realize that our breath is always in the background. It happens with and without voluntary control, always governed by our nervous system. When it comes to managing your client's health, knowing how to promote breath is an essential component in creating an effective therapeutic result. By understanding where true respiration starts from in the body, we can unlock the organism's true potential to remove fatigue and pain. This module is full of essential information to help you get inside human breath to bring forth freedom from pain and stiffness, helping the client experience immediate results in their posture, movement, and overall well-being. So let's explore breathing by visiting some people where breathing is part of their daily trade.
Without being consciously aware of the way that we're breathing, particularly when we come to do a yoga practice, it's just an exercise routine, it's just a workout. So yoga is all about using the breath to connect the conscious and the unconscious minds together in the body. So through the process of consciously controlling the breath and changing the way we breathe, we can elicit certain effects in the body while we're practicing our yoga. So we're using the breath as a tool to come out of our conscious repetitive thought patterns and get connected into our bodies, into that unconscious place that normally works without us thinking about it throughout the day.
There was another style of breath we were discussing, which was nostril breathing and alternate nostril breathing. And the effect you mentioned is to synchronize brain hemispheres.
Well, the beauty about alternate nostril breathing is we can not only practice it in yoga, but we can practice it at home and in our daily life as well. But the idea behind the alternate nostril breathing is we close one nostril, so we can breathe through the left nostril, which will activate the right side of the brain, the right hemisphere. We can then close off the left nostril and breathe through the right nostril, which activates the left hemisphere of the brain.
As the left hemisphere has more of a sympathetic dominance, and the right hemisphere more of a parasympathetic dominance, it's bringing those two hemispheres together.
We can change the focus in a yoga class to breathing or more focus on the inhale breath to awaken the sympathetic nervous system, or we can change it to more focus on the exhale breath to ignite the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system for more calm and relaxation. But equally breathing the inhale and the exhale to the same count brings about that sense of well-being and that balance within the body as well.
In my training and in my experience, I find that bringing coherence into breathing creates a better nervous system, a nervous system that is now open to respond, a nervous system that is now open to learn. How about the physiological benefits that you see in your practice with teaching your clients to breathe?
Well, not only does good, healthy breathing benefit the body through relaxing the nervous system and allowing the connective tissue to relax and let go of tension as well, we can change the blood chemistry. One of the benefits of doing nostril breathing, inhale and exhale, is that we slow the breathing rate down and we create a slight hypoventilation, which causes the blood vessels to dilate, increases the blood flow to the brain.
The concept of diaphragmatic breathing, we all know how important it is to breathe deep and low in our bodies, not only to perfuse the lower aspect of our lungs, but from a muscle activation point of view. What do you recommend or encourage your clients to do in your studio with diaphragmatic breathing, and what are the benefits you expect from that?
Well, there's two sides to that breathing. One is being able to relax the diaphragm to breathe and allow the belly to inflate while we're inhaling and allowing the chest to relax, which is a nice healthy way to breathe. But the other thing is to increase our power output and our energy and our core activation through a forced exhale breath. We use the core muscles, the transverse abdominis muscle, activating through that core area, increasing the muscle activation, can stimulate the nervous system, the sympathetic branch of the nervous system, and give us more energy output and more power. So depending on what we're trying to do, we can either increase the body's energy or we can restore it back to better balance and relaxation. And an interesting thing I've noticed when working with professional athletes, a lot of them are really good at activating that core area to generate power, but they have no idea how to relax it at the end. So it's really important to be able to do both. If we're not breathing effectively, our posture can also become very constricted and our movements become constricted. And again, that can create pain and discomfort in the body. So allowing the body to breathe effectively can definitely open up and change our posture. We can actually change the posture of the body in certain yoga poses as well by mentally redirecting the breath to different parts, to the back of the body, for example, or the front of the body. So most of the time we think we just breathe in our chest, but we have a 360-degree organism there that expands and contracts with the breath. So we also like to bring people's awareness to the back of the body and the side of the body whilst they're breathing. And that movement of the breath actually moves the posture of the body. They actually can start to realize that they have control over what goes on in their bodies and their lives.
Control.
So people don't think they can change their breath, but we're teaching them how to change their breath while they're moving, and then they can see that they are actually in control.
You don't want to get beat up. Well, the thing about breathing in combat sports is it's everything. So we use breathing to heighten the arousal so that you can fight harder, and we use it to calm our breath down. One of the most common thing I can tell the difference between a good trainer and a bad trainer, when the fighter comes back to the corner, if the trainer starts giving advice straight away, I know that guy's an amateur. So if someone comes back and they're breathing high like that, the heart rate's high, no matter what you tell them, they won't remember. So we always, in all our training, from our first day of training to the UFC, focus on the breath. It's the most important thing. People often make the mistake in combat that they're not getting enough oxygen, when the reality is they're getting too much. And when you get too much oxygen, what happens? Your heart rate lifts up and your brain just stops working properly.
Yeah.
So more often than not, we're finding that the guys actually overbreathe. So one of the first techniques we use when someone comes to the corner is to expel everything and start again.
Lengthen their exhale. Yeah.
Exactly. So to actually get rid of the oxygen, because we normally have too much oxygen, but the brain tricks you, as you know, into letting you think that you don't have enough. So, I can't breathe, coach. And the adrenaline, the fight or flight kicks in, and then the person feels sick or, can't sit on the stool.
Yeah.
So actually, we train our fighters from the beginning to actually understand when they've got too much oxygen. It'll sometimes feel like they don't have enough, and that's very important for them.
So do you force expiration out?
Yeah, so we do forced expiration, we do a short, sharp. We've got a couple of different techniques, but one of them is just hoo,
Yeah.
and then in,
Yeah.
and then hoo, and then in,
Yeah.
and hold, 2, 3, shh. Tell yourself to calm your heart rate down, tell yourself to relax.
Where you breathe from can essentially be a determinant of your charge in your nervous system. So whether you go fight or flight or rest and relaxation.
Right.
So obviously in a fighting setting, you're going to need that sympathetic or fight or flight activity.
Right.
But in order to listen and be cognitively aware, you need to make sure that you have that rest and relaxation to be open for information. So
totally makes sense.
I really
yeah,
like
and
what
that
you
lines
said.
up with what we were just discussing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that's backed by science, because that's
Yeah.
only my experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, in regards to breathing with force output, so you see a lot of boxers go into that, and in martial arts, there's this forced expiration when
Yep.
they strike. Can you give me a bit of the reasoning behind that?
We have like time tension. So when you breathe out, you don't breathe out shh, and then punch. It's at that last moment of the punch, shh, everything tightens up at that last minute just to get that maximum contraction to put power on the end of the punch. So you'll see amateurs will be, and they don't time it, but it's that last, and people say like ish or whatever, but the point is it's that last contraction at the end. And a lot of people, they contract early and then they are slower, they gas out. So coming back to one of our UFC athletes, we had an issue with him. He was very fit, but MMA is not kickboxing, right? So you have different energy systems. You've got striking, so anaerobic, and then you've got grappling, which is a bit more aerobic. And this particular person used to work with them, I think, and they couldn't activate their diaphragmatic breathing. So what would happen is that they strike well, but then striking is upper chest breathing. Okay, so they'd be ish, 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 and then they grapple and they'd continue breathing like they were striking. So everybody would use that to affect his gas output, right? And eventually he figured out how to diaphragmatically breathe. But what we realized is when you're striking, you breathe at the chest, and when you're grappling, you use like a Valsalmic, maneuver to lift. You need your diaphragm, you need to be strong. So he had to learn how to switch between his breathing to maintain and to arouse his energy when needed. Well, sometimes my advice from the corner is simply just breathe.
Today, we learned that breathing is an effective way to bring the brain hemispheres together to create more focused thought, peacefulness, and harmony right through to high increased athletic and high performance. We also dove into how breath is an entry to our subconscious and how it affects our psychology as much as our physiology. And finally, how breath is an essential tool to perform at the highest level and how it can determine the fine line between winning and losing. In this module, Module 3 of Nobody, we will discuss breathing in depth, where correct breathing starts from, how trauma affects our breathing rhythm, how it can block the nervous system into the flight or fight mode. You will also learn how the primary structure of respiration can also be the cause of chronic low back pain by learning its anatomy, and how to maximize its coverage in the body for better posture and movement. I hope you join me in this module to discover the human behind the body.